Once, when we were driving from Rajasthan to Delhi, because in those days there were no bypasses to the towns and the cities coming on the way, so we had to go through many villages, towns, and the cities. Sant Ji was always very watchful and observant when we used to drive. So while we were passing through the town of Hanumangarh, there was a traffic jam and it looked like some people were arguing with each other. Sant Ji asked me to see what was going on. So I looked and I told him that there were some people on the cycle rickshaws with public addressing system mounted on them. They were advertising the movies playing in the local cinemas and they were fighting with each other because one of them was trying to suppress the other. And so he looked at me, smiled, and he said, "Aha, so they are from your department." As he knew that I was fond of watching the movies, so he would always label the movies as my department. So later on, when we were going through the town of Rohtak, we encountered a similar thing, but it was a little different. There were people with loudspeakers mounted on a car, and they were advertising a religious or a satsang program which was going to happen in Delhi the following month. Soon another vehicle came out of a lane with the loudspeakers mounted on it, and they were playing the devotional songs, and it was very loud. And they were advertising their event, which was non-stop singing in the praise of the goddesses during the night. So they were advertising their event. This upset the people who were advertising their satsang program. And there was a little bit of friction over there. Sant Ji saw that, and then he looked at me again and he said, "They are from my department." What he meant was that they talk in the name of God or they talk about God, so that's why that was his department. Then he asked me if I knew anything about that organization which was advertising the program in Delhi, the satsang program. And I told him that, "Sant Ji, I don't know much about them, but I have seen their posters. They put up big hoardings all over the city. And maybe in the newspaper I have read that they have centers everywhere. At least I know that in the city of Delhi they have many centers. But they say that they have centers all over the world, in all the cities of India. And this program, which is going to happen next month, they are estimating that like 200,000 people will attend. Because every year they have this program and thousands of people come there." So then Sant Ji looked at me and I saw on his face that he became very sad. And he said that, "Papu, what is the use of having 100,000 or 200,000 followers if one has not attained peace himself, if one has not realized God Almighty himself? What is the use of carrying so much burden on your head? When you cannot carry your own burden, why bother carrying the load? Why carry the burden of so many people? The people are so innocent. They don't know what is right, what is not right." So, with those deep emotions, he felt very sorry about the whole thing. And then he also told me so many other things about the preachers, the people who talk about God, the people who sell the name of God. And at that time, I didn't understand much because he had said that when the time comes to pay off their karmas, which these people accumulate by deceiving others, it becomes very hard for them. And Sant Ji did say, he said that maybe you will also see that those people, they suffer a lot, and some of them even rot in jail. because the law of karma applies to everyone. I didn't understand that at that time, but now I see those things happening. The reason of sharing this incident is because it has the relation to a question of a dear one, which he asked in his personal interview. You know that many preachers, religious priests, pundits used to come to see Sant Ji. Many people would come to see him and hear him talk. They would like his way of talking, they would like the stories. Many people would just come to get some information, but some of them, like Sant Ji used to say, that for whom it has had been decided in the court of Lord that they have to go back home, they would get the holy initiation. So one such priest who had received the initiation once asked Sant Ji the question in his personal interview. He asked Sant Ji that, Master, as you know that I am a priest and it is my job to conduct the religious practices. Many people who come to me ask for God Almighty's blessings and ask me to perform rites and rituals on their behalf as a prayer to Almighty Lord. And being the priest, I have to become a part of them. Now that with your grace I have been initiated and have come to know the reality of the things, it feels very awkward and uncomfortable doing all the things that I have to do. Somewhere I feel I am not being honest with the people because they all look upon me as a holy man, as a representative of God, as a man of God, which I know I am not. So my question is, should I continue doing the work of the priest? I don't want to accumulate more karmas on my soul as I want to go home. So beloved Sant Ji replied, he said, Masters never interfere in our worldly works, but they do advise that one should earn their livelihood by honest means, because the way we earn the money for our livelihood has a direct effect on our spiritual life. Bulle Shah was a Qazi, a Muslim priest, in the mosque of Lahore for 40 years. But when he received the initiation from his master Inayat Shah and went within, what did he say? Since I have learned the lesson of love, my soul is scared of the mosque. He said that because he realized that in the mosque where he was looked upon as a representative of Lord, he was doing rites and rituals and even blessing the people in the name of the Lord. He realized that people were taking him to be someone that he was not, because he had not seen God. So he felt that the burden of the blessings he was giving to the people was bothering him, because he was not capable of even carrying his own burden. Further, Sant Ji said that Master Sant Singh Ji used to say that without tasting the Shabad, without experiencing the Shabad, the Naam yourself, if you preach Naam and Shabad to others, the pride and ego can create havoc in your spiritual as well as the worldly life. Because people praise you. They think that because you bless them, their issues were resolved. And when you accept that credit, you carry the burden involved in it. In fact, God Almighty rewards them according to their faith and devotion. But because they look upon you and think that you have done it, and you acknowledge it, or convince them that it happened because of you, you have to carry the burden of their karmas on your head. But if you preach the Naam or word or God realization, after experiencing it yourself, after merging yourself in Him, the praises of the people do not affect you. This is because in that state, when you preach the Naam, you are enjoying your merger with Naam. You are doing the devotion of Almighty Lord and are pleasing Him. You are praising Him. All the praises are for the Master. This is the path of faith and devotion. Sant Ji told him that when people come to you having faith in you, and you allow them to have faith in you, and you tell them something which works for them, they give you the credit. Blessings work only when you have faith. If you don't have faith, no matter how much learned you are, how in the best way you preach to others, it doesn't work for you. Lord Almighty Himself always rewards the faith and answers the prayers. If we take the credit, we burden ourselves with the karmas. That dear one, whose question and Sant Ji's answer I am sharing with you, has shared his personal interview with me, because ever since the remembrance of the masters and the stories of the masters are being said and are being circulated for the dear ones, many people have experienced or have felt that it has helped them a lot. And this dear one also felt the same thing. And he also felt that his story is such a story, because it had changed his life, it should be shared with others. So that is why he shared with me his interview, and that is why I was able to share all this with you, because I wrote down everything from his interview. So at the end of his interview, even though that the interview that he sent to me, the conversation that he had with Sant Ji was not less than a satsang, but at the end, Sant Ji told him a story of Maulana Rumi and about the faith. The story goes like this, that once there was a shepherd who had to ferry his cattle to the other side of the river in order to graze them, as there were no pasture fields on the side he used to live. That would cost him 2 paisa, 2 units of currency of the time, each side. So he would spend like 4 paisas every day on the transportation. That expenses would leave him with not so much money to pay for his own needs. So he was always under debt. Someone suggested to him to go and seek advice from Maulana Rumi, as he was a wise man and he might have some solution to this problem. Now at this time, Maulana Rumi was not initiated by the perfect master. You know that Maulana Rumi was the initiate of Shams Tabriz. So this story is of the time when Maulana Rumi had not yet met with his master. He was the Qaji, he was the priest, a judge, and he used to, because he was very learned, he used to advise people, he used to judge. This was his job, to pass the judgments. So this shepherd, when he went to Maulana Rumi and told him his problem and asked for his help, Maulana Rumi said, just have faith in the Lord, get in the river repeating the kalma along with your herd, and the Lord will help you go across. So the shepherd, because he had faith in Maulana Rumi, that he is the man of God, he went to the river, as Maulana Rumi had said, and he started chanting the kalma which he had been given. And with his herd, he went in the river and easily crossed over. He was happy that he had saved 2 paisas. He did the same thing on the way back and saved another 2 paisas. So in this way, he started crossing the river without the boat, without spending any money, and his life improved as he was taking his herd of cattle to the pastures without having to pay anything. One evening, when he was approaching the river to come back home, he saw Maulana Rumi standing at the bank of the river. And Maulana Rumi looked very worried and was wondering that how he would go across the river, as the ferryman had finished his job for the day and the boat was turned over. When the ferrymen are done for the day, they pull out the boat from the water and turn them over. Maulana Rumi asked the shepherd, "How will you go across? You are late. The ferryman has left." So the shepherd replied, "That master, just like you taught me." And he went in the water with his cattle and started walking in the water. By repeating the kalma, what Maulana Rumi had told him to do, he told Maulana Rumi, "Come on, let us go home. You also come." Now Maulana Rumi was scared to go in the water as he did not know how to swim. The shepherd said, "Come on, master. Come on, it's getting late." So Maulana Rumi felt very embarrassed. He did not know what to do. And he was surprised that the shepherd was walking in the water along with his cattle as if he was walking on the earth. And here was Maulana Rumi standing at the bank of the river, not knowing what to do. So when that shepherd insisted again and again, called him and said, "Master, come on, let's go." So then, with fear of drowning, because Maulana Rumi did not know how to swim, so with the fear of drowning, he descended in the water. He got into the water, and soon, when he felt that he was drowning because he could not walk on the water, he called for the help. The shepherd ran back to him and saved him and carried him on his back and crossed over. When they came to the shore, the other side of the river, the shepherd asked Maulana Rumi, "Master, why were you scared? You taught me how to go across the river. You yourself taught me that. Why didn't you do it yourself? And why were you drowning? Why you could not walk on the water?" So Maulana Rumi replied, he said, "Dear one, the faith that you have, I don't." I would like to thank the dear one who shared his personal interview with all of us. Thank you very much.